the hearings are both sort of early in the regular meeting, so we definitely need you for that because we wouldn't have a quorum.
Right.
You see having to recuse, but after that, if his wife tested positive for COVID.
Oh, bummer. I would be happy once the meeting is underway to make a motion to move the hearings up in the agenda, if that would be helpful. Just throwing that out
No,
there.
I'm fine. I'm sitting down. I'll just have to blow my nose a lot, I think.
Oh, man, I'm so sorry. It's your going around. Well, let's see, what did that do?
You gotta educate yourself again.
Yeah.
John is gonna be late,
Okay.
and I have Kathy. Big Kathy?
Okay.
We're to move up the hearing.
Go back to it. Start it up again for you.
Here she is, good. You know, not sure what to do.
Okay.
I mean, if trustee checks fine and doesn't have an objection, then we might as well be both.
Yeah, and that's what Walter, if you start feeling really bad as we get into the regular meeting, let us know.
Okay, will do.
If you don't feel like you wanna go through 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 6 agenda items for the hearings.
No, that's fine. I can hang in there, I think. Just
Okay.
Unless you think there's.
I think there'll be time to find since we have that.
People want it. Well, thank you for that. I mean, it has maybe made a difference. We have one guy that used to work doing that. And it's one of the great. If you grab and he had an artist. He had grabbed me very, little Toyota pick.
I think there's a percentage of our items who. There we go. Okay. Now we don't touch it. Okay.
You're not paying attention.
Yeah. I know. I mean, I have to catch myself. Not a lot. I had somebody. Right over here at third grade, she didn't even stop at stop sign.
Hello, everyone. I'd like to call this work session to order. And if we could have roll call, please.
Mayor Smith.
Here.
Mayor Valentine.
Wait.
Trustee Stelter. Here. Trustee Chet.
here.
Is here. Trustee Schwartz.
Here.
And Trustee Hunter.
Here. Thank you. I'm going to turn it over to Stefan.
So, giving you homework, what we're gonna do first is, there is no way that we're going to be able to get a mission, vision, and values figured out tonight, with the amount of time that we have. So what you'll see is a spreadsheet. I've given that to you with different communities and their mission, vision, and values. If it's blank, that means they didn't do them. And I think it's kind of difficult to have a vision statement without values or a mission statement without a value statement or a vision statement. So some communities kind of did that, others didn't. There are 3 that I really want you to focus your efforts on and look at. And that is Durango, Rifle, and Bayfield. Bayfield is when it goes into great detail, it breaks down everything and defines things. But I think the one that I think is the best representation of a mission, vision, and value statement, it's succinct, it says it's impactful, would be Rifle, to take a look at that one. My personal favorite, and the reason that I added it, is Fruita's Parks and Recreation Department. I think theirs is very impactful, it's very defined, and that's on that second page.
You'd be able to email these to Walter
I can.
after the meeting.
Yes, absolutely. Sorry, Walter, I didn't, trustee, check, I didn't send that to you before. On the back page is the actual worksheet, and you'll see 6 different steps to getting a mission, vision, and value statement. The first one is what we're working on, and I'm going to ask you guys to work on, are ask questions. One of the questions you should ask is, have I seen a value statement for the town before? You have, it's in the draft comprehensive plan. And that one has gone to the public. I think you really should take a look at that, because there are values in there that receive significant community feedback. I think those are really important to include. There are like the beginnings of mission statements in the comprehensive plan to look at as well, but it's more geared towards development and growth, or planning for the future. Remember, we're trying to keep these general. It's going to be a general mission, vision, and value statement for the town. It'll be our first ever. I think it's pretty important that we consider that. I gave the same kind of, not as structured as this, but to our department heads, deputy department heads, and we had one department knock it out of the park. And this time it's Public Works. So Nikki took it upon herself to really dive into this, and I think what she did was phenomenal. And so, it's a really good snapshot of what Public Works actually does and values. So I wanted you to see that. It's in your agenda packet, and it's good to kind of get your creative juices flowing as you're filling these out. Like I said, I don't think that we're going to meet a mission, vision, and values. There's no way we can figure it out tonight. So this is more like a prep to say, here, please take this back, think on it, write some notes down, and then we'll schedule something in the future for another workshop or a work session to go over some things.
Can you pull that a little bit, Ruben?
Oh,
Or
it's
whoever's-
me. Yeah, sorry. How's that?
Perfect.
Better? The budget objective and capital improvement projects. So one of the things that the entire reason for this kind of what we're doing is to create a strategic plan. It was a critical component missing from our budget from last year in our previous budgets or historic budgets. It's what we need to get a GFOA budget award. That's the Government Finance Officers Association. It was the feedback that we received from submitting our fiscal year 24 budget was that we didn't have any goals or objectives within a strategic plan to meet. And so what we're trying to do is say things like, for Matt, it would be like officer safety. What if we're going to make a purchase or it's a capital plan, how does this meet our strategic plan? And well, it's a goal of officer safety. You want taser refreshes, or we need new duty arms, firearms, things like that. So that's what I want you to start thinking about. Improve street conditions. That's one that Nikki had put on there. We want good roadways. What comes with good roadways are, speeding as well. So we got to keep that in mind as well. Park management, sustainability, stormwater management. That is a nightmare. It's one of the issues that we have with some of the street projects we're designing. The reason a road's going to erode or ravel from the ends is typically due to water or not having a really good hard surface like a gutter. If tires are parking on it, things like that, that's where the weakest point is where it's going to ravel from. Kaja saved me because everybody else came out with goals and objectives, and my department kind of floundered, but she got some in for us. So one of the things that I would say out of these, and like I said, Kaja put these together, but build confidence in our utility billing. You've seen that in my reports over the last year and few months has been our goal is to build confidence in our utility billing. Build transparency and confidence along with efficiency in town accounting processes. We've gone a long way in building transparency, and we want to keep that moving forward. So maybe an objective is, that it's transparent financial accounting processes. Establishing a standardized filing for utility and accounting documents. That's that is something that she is building that process right now. The way that we were keeping files, there could have been a digital record, but it was only a partial record, and we had a hard copy record. And so now what we're trying to do is digitize everything. And using our ERP system, that Enterprise Resource Planning System, Cassell, to do all of that storage. So that it's easy to recall if we have a utility customer or something, an issue with that. I know our Public Works team has been working with Kaja to make sure that the meters and the serial numbers, encoders, endpoints, they all are captured in our system. The historic practice had been to use the endpoint as a serial number for all three pieces: the meter, the encoder, and the endpoint. And that's not a good practice. So they've been doing what they're calling these meter audits. We started that earlier this year. I presented that early in January, and they've been moving systematically through that to fix this. We've still got a long way to go, but we're getting there. Create and maintain a comfortable and safe working environment for office staff. That was Kaja. And then create confidence for staff interactions with public and with work duties through continued training. And so, that's something this board had committed to, and the previous board had committed to, was investing in employees, and that's training, that's continuing education, that's continuous learning. And so once we get our mission statement and values, and then when we finish this SWOT analysis, because the next phase of this, I'm going to give 12 minutes per department, timing it, and we're going to go over strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. That way we can start building these objectives. These are just objectives and goals to get you guys thinking about what could be. Pam, yeah.
Town Administrator Wynn, are these is this like your goals for just 2025? Or?
These are continuous ongoing goals.
Okay.
That can go into a strategic plan. Now, there may be some that have to be triaged. And yeah, there's could be some higher priority goals for 25 that we can identify and put into the strategic plan. But moving forward, this should be a living document. And as we as our community grows, as we get things accomplished, these goals and objectives can turn into something else. So Matt's department put together continued investment in officer and citizen safety through contemporary training. So again, that's continuous improvement through staff training. And that's, to deal with socioeconomic issues, mental health, unhoused, blended family structures, where there's different custody things. Continued investment in officer and citizen safety, security cameras, vulnerable remote location security and resource multiplier. You'll see in our, what is a resource multiplier?
Resource multiplier means, so for example, like a camera, if we only have one officer on, but we have a camera on, he doesn't have to be there necessarily for us to solve it. Right, it's expanding what we already have. We can pull that footage following. It just, what it does is allow us to literally increase the resources we have to solve problems. And that doesn't always have to be crime related, right? It can be numerous things with our events and festivals we have throughout town.
Thank you. And so what you're going to see in this upcoming budget is a request from every department for security cameras at different locations, critical facilities, and the parks throughout. So, okay, and that's it for this. So these are the goals and objectives we're going to try to get going. What I really want to do next is what we call SWOT analysis. These are looking at internal and external. I forgot the word. Assessments. So these are internal and external assessments. When we start talking like strengths and weaknesses, these are internal. We're being introspective, and then opportunities and threats. These are external. These are analyzing things external from our organization. And I figured we get the elephant done, first. So when I start asking strengths, and you guys can throw out anything. If you see any strengths or weaknesses, we talked about some during our department head meeting. What were they for strengths?
So we have we have some pretty skilled employees, but we're understaffed. So strength and weakness. is the examples that we gave, but then overall, oh, we're only doing, okay. So we also had, it's kind of a strength, I guess, was that we got some pretty good local contractors. If we need them, that we have partnerships with these people, that's. So it would be outside, it'd be the opportunities. Like if we ever want to start contracting to pave sidewalks instead of doing it ourselves. There are people in the valley, there are people in the western slope that do these things. So that's good, but it also can be a barrier because there's some people that are only on the, on the front range that do these kind of things. So
Yeah.
that was something that we had. A threat, I guess this.
There's always wildfire, there's.
Yeah.
And I chose the colors on purpose.
Okay. We just had some overall, I guess, weaknesses.
Sure.
Maybe we didn't break it down, so maybe you can put it where it needs to go.
Here, so I'm gonna ask for a threat though, and I would say state regulations.
Yeah,
Like CDPHE state regulations is a threat.
so we had that one and then a stigma of working with the town. Some people don't work with us. And that's.
Is it contractors?
Or, okay,
We
employees.
Something, had employees turn down positions just because.
They look
Mostly
at
stuff from the past, but,
Mhm.
So what is it?
Stigma of working for the town.
Stigma of pay.
That's what we put, but yeah, it's like our
Is
reputation.
it the personal pay?
Yeah.
Stigma.
Yeah, some historical issues that are.
No, and some of the past water problems here, like some people that have licenses and that are concerned about putting those on the line here, it's.
Underneath, under threats, you might want to put the pay under message board.
That can go on everybody's as well.
I don't wanna do that, so,
It's a
Misinformation.
threat, it's misinformation.
Yeah.
so misinformation, right? / social media.
Social media.
I don't wanna call out Zuckerberg, because
You might come after us.
And I heard Corey say fire.
yes,
So come up later on in the meeting, next meeting.
it will.
We always have to be cautious of.
We certainly have more strengths than water. Oh, God, I didn't set my time.
So can we add to this right now?
Yeah, please.
Okay, because I feel like, okay, there's a lot more here. Opportunities, I mean, let's put grants.
Okay, yeah. So let's say supplemental funding / grants.
That kind of fits into our weaknesses too, because I feel like funding is some of our weaknesses.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
We
there
can't- We can want to fix something, oh,
Can't afford.
yeah, we can't afford it. I don't know if that falls under weakness or is it
What's that?
So
just
that,
lack of funding or I don't know where.
yeah, we kind of had like 3 big weaknesses that everything goes back to, which is like money, manpower, equipment.
Yeah.
Like
So tight
everything
budget,
ties to that.
right?
And I don't know where it would go. But we also had like the process of change or efficiency. When we need something, it takes a long time to get
I
there.
don't know, is that?
And I don't know if-
historical Been the case here, you guys?
And can you give us an example?
Well, like just what would you say, like the process of getting things approved, which I know you have to go through certain steps, don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
Okay.
But maybe it's just back to manpower of like, well, I didn't get that on there yet, or I didn't do this, and it takes months. So it's very slow. We know we're government, and we know it's slow, but that was a barrier, I guess, a hurdle or something that to get things moving that we need.
So you
I mean, look at the pickle we're in now.
So you see an immediate need, but because it costs $10,000, you can't just go buy it because you have to get bids,
Mhm.
right?
And
And then
then
bring it to
bids
us,
is-
Sometimes.
or whatever the amount
Some
is.
companies, when we.
So public purchasing
For different bids.
requirements, yeah.
More than that, it's government processes.
Yeah, something like, and I
They
know
will
it's a
have,
process, but.
like, we don't get them all the same day, you know, some of them be like, I'll get that to you
For bids.
in like 2 weeks or so. Well, a lot of times by the time we get all the data, get it compiled to bring to you guys, sometimes the bids even change, because they're
Yeah.
only good for a
30
month or
Right.
whatever, you know, and then it's like, do we have to go back out and
So the way to, we're kind of getting in the weeds,
Yeah,
right?
we don't-
But the way to go about that and to make that a little bit less is by increasing spending limits for department heads and,
Yeah.
you know, myself.
Right.
But that's,
And that's why we just
That's
wanted a
exactly-
general statement of process.
so government processes and procedures is a weakness.
I mean, a huge weakness or threat is just the scale of the change that needs to happen, like the improvements. There's so many things that could go wrong, like it's getting the access for our water line, like,
So we wrote that down too, it's like a shot of a pattern of priorities. Because it's just a fire, put it out, rather than a structure with departments, with leads, with that kind of thing.
Yeah, so that's gonna hopefully be the goal of this, is to kind of prioritize some things. Also our water smart grant too, so. But I put it on both, because I think you're right, scale of needs for both.
Yeah.
Right.
So just to answer the, being able to buy stuff. So if the budget clearly, like you did for 2024, you really said the things you wanted to buy, but you still had to get bids and you still had to bring them to us,
Yeah.
right? But we already knew it was on the radar. And is that helpful? If you plan ahead and we already know you need it, so you're not gonna get a pushback?
It is, so you remember, I don't know if it was end of 21 budget or 22. I had tried to get a side by side then.
Mm,
And then got
Yeah.
approved, well, then when I went to get that side by side, the price had gone up almost $8,000. So stuff like that, even though we budget for it, we try to do our best due diligence on what the cost is. We don't get to really dictate the prices. that
right.
Or is
we
that,
see,
is
so-
that part of something that we could do if it's already budgeted? 30 grand to buy whatever, do we have to do the buds, come back with 3 different ones, or it's like, we found one within this range?
I haven't
I don't know, I mean,
You do that.
I don't know, you do know.
Yeah, we've got Gap and he asked me to follow, so.
That's a set in stone, or that's not like our policy.
No, and we also would have to look at Colorado statutes to make sure that, you know, there are some other procurement processes that we have to follow. We gotta have more strengths. I mean, Jordan, what's that?
Ambition.
Ambition, so.
we have really good water.
It is really tasty,
It's a
isn't it?
really good, yeah.
Yeah.
I think we have a good knowledge of what needs done
Yeah.
based
That's
on
awesome.
employees, like we might not be all the weaknesses, we know what it is, yeah.
One of the things I think that would help both us and you is if you have a list of things you want and you just bring it up. Not just like, well, we do this for pretty much everything. And like every meeting, we should hear, you know, this is coming up, guys, and this is what we're gonna want. And we can work a little quicker that way. And that way you can get your bids in. And what I did in North Dakota was when we called for bids, I'd ask for a 45 and a 60-day bid.
Yeah.
And then we would get all the, and we had an end bid date, usually 3 weeks in advance. And then that way we got them, we could review them, and then we could make a decision on what we're gonna do.
And
That was
I guess-
millions of dollars,
Yeah.
but you know, it's the same process.
I guess that process is to be streamlined, and so
Right.
sometimes we do it, sometimes we don't, sometimes, like,
One, that
depends on what it
example,
is.
Too, was, you remember the pipe spreader tool that we asked for?
Right.
That's a one of a kind tool, one company makes it, one
Right.
company sells it.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
sometimes it's impossible to get some of the stuff we
Yeah.
need.
I'm gonna reel that in.
Yeah.
So the best part is, we have this purchasing policy manual that's about to get approved, that I have some edits to make, and then it'll be up for approval or consideration of approval, and it should lay everything out. Forms and everything, so it's coming, guys. But yes, that was a big deficiency we had. I want to give an opportunity because I think it's our consecutive systems. We've never collaborated. We've never brought them to a table. We've just said, do this. And that's historic. And I think that the opportunity for change is right now, right? We've got these restrictions, a threat from CDPHE. I think this is a huge opportunity that I don't think we need to miss. So. We good? I think we're good on water?
Did you all get those?
I was just gonna say, I feel like a strength we have are two really good firms that we've hired.
Yeah. I say 3, because Right Water is.
Oh, right, water is one, yeah.
Three great engineering firms.
Those also. Those strengths.
I think they're very knowledgeable about the Western Slope.
Yeah.
All 3 of them.
Can you just write like, it's like skilled and passionate, like,
Dedicated, like, yeah, like, how
Dedicated.
many can we just put all the stars after
I
the
know, that's what I was
employees?
thinking too,
'Cause
like stars,
that's
stars, stars.
aspect, yeah.
So dedicated.
Yeah.
So maybe this one goes there too. Aha.
Then we can, Walter, did you have anything to add? And can you hear what we're saying is being written down?
Yes, I can hear, and I don't have anything to add right now.
Hey, thanks.
Okay. So we're good with this one? Okay, for this one, we're gonna look at sanitary sewer, wastewater. And rather than write everything out, I'm just gonna use SWOT. And we could say probably the same thing, right, about employees and wastewater, the same employees.
Engineers.
Yeah.
And the CDPH.
So CDPHE is, they're gonna become a complete threat for everything.
Can we say like just same as water?
Yeah,
Do we have to put it all that way, we don't have to rewrite it and everything?
yep. I do wanna write threats out though, so CDPHE,
EPA.
so EPA / NPDES, like a permit, National Pollutant Discharge Elimination, yeah.
Do you think the aging infrastructure that we have in town is worse than our aging water infrastructure?
I think it's probably.
So it's a threat, but it's maybe a little worse off.
And the hard part is, you know, water line breaks, at least they tell you there's an issue there. Sewer, you don't really get that. So you're kind of, I guess the unknowns is kind of a weakness for
For the sewer.
wastewater,
Until
yeah,
someone's basement backs up, like.
yeah.
It's unfortunate, the geology, we have the riverbeds bottom and the gravel and the cobble, and it just goes away, you know, but it's a point source for our pollution into the river. You know, that's where we're in trouble.
Okay, so opportunities, same as water, right? Skilled contractors, consecutive system, well, no consecutive system.
And a good thing is we have a whole lot of extra capacity.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay, so that's a strength, right?
we do, but then at the same time, we need to look into getting.
The conversion, is that, yeah.
Well, if we have until 2030 now, we might be able to push off another 2 years without dredging, but we probably are gonna need to dredge before that.
Yeah.
Okay,
Unless we're putting something else into place.
Building walls, so you
Yeah.
can go higher. Okay, so we have additional capacity, but let's say a weakness is,
A lack of discharge ability, because we can't put any more into the system and discharge it. We're at capacity right now for discharge.
are we at the volume?
Our nitrogen and phosphorus in the summertime when the river is so low. So there's an opportunity there because land application changes the discharge permit. So that's something we can look at too. And if we put a polishing pond in, man-made marsh, again, guys, it would help a lot.
Do we know if that's allowable yet?
on our upcoming agenda is gonna be a P&A for wastewater,
All right,
so
right.
they'll take a look at it.
Oh, good.
Yeah. But you, what was, you had said before dredging, right? So,
That's,
we're gonna have to do sludge removal.
that's kind of a threat too, was we can only push it off as long as people aren't putting stuff with.
Well,
Yeah.
remember, these are internal, these are external. So if there was something from outside of our organization saying that we have to do it, that would be,
Low water in the river affecting the
that's
discharge.
right. So, river level for effluent. Because that's dynamic, right? It changes all the time.
And I think like another threat too is just some of our sampling places that we take our samples to are not always,
Our labs, yeah.
yeah, the lab places aren't.
We're not happy with them.
We could do better on some, if there was better. but-
This is a safe space.
Yeah, I don't know if there is better close by that.
What projects have you seen?
They fail to give us reports on time, have to request them again, but they're not really there very often, so we'll set up a time to meet them there, and they're still not there.
Right,
We've had them into their house.
So they're not compromising the samples, but it's the deliverables.
Yeah, they're not, yeah.
And labs are few and far between. And if you're gonna get lower reporting limits, which might happen in 2030, you're looking at like shipping them to a different state.
Can you do that on ice?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's expensive.
Yeah, it's very expensive.
So sampling reports from labs is a threat.
Strengths, it seems like correct me if I'm wrong, but we have enough available land to do what we want to do. Is that the case or not?
Probably not.
Okay, then that would be a weakness.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay,
So we potentially don't have enough land to do the mechanical?
Well, mechanical plants, but you still have the waste, but like they still produce waste that you have to have an area to put it, you can use it for
Like a sludge.
compost and fields or whatever, but yeah, there's still, you have to have somewhere to put it all.
Opportunity is what I hear.
Yeah.
what's the opportunity?
Compost.
Ooh. We'll at the tap.
Actually, there's a big debate now in the state about they're selling the composted waste. And it's been all through the state, but a lot of it is contaminated with heavy metals and PFAS. And that's coming too. We're gonna have to start testing for it. Not that we're likely to have it because we don't have any plating facilities or any plastics factories here, but we could. And we need to be sure that before we put it on the land, that we don't get sued because we've contaminated the entire area forever. And that's what the problem's coming
And so
up.
that's CDPHE.
Yeah.
So we got that.
Before you put it on the land.
And that all could be reasons that like why the push from the 2027 to now we're looking maybe 2030. But it still all causes us, like,
Can I put rural water as a opportunity?
yeah.
We also have them putting the wetlands down there for Turner Ditch and Love Cabin. And they're supposed to take some of our effluent water.
So ditch companies, right? So what is it that they're doing? It's some mitigation, right? Wildlife mitigation?
It's the offsets.
Yeah, the offsets.
Offsets.
And also that area down there, most of the area is floodplain. It can't be built on, so as an opportunity, it's a lot cheaper to obtain that land if we need to buy some because it's floodplain. It's not buildable land like some of the land that's up higher. And I think most of that area downstream for about a quarter to a half a mile is pretty much floodplain. In a quarter mile.
It's privately owned.
And privately owned. Some was owned by the town and sold recently.
Well, yeah, it's like 2018.
Yeah, that's really recently.
The house,
That's.
the cow house.
Are we good with our SWAT for wastewater?
I think so.
This one's gonna be big in the future in CDPHE. We're already hearing it from our engineers. Oops.
Their guidance is just gonna shape what we have, you know.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
One of the things that we can probably work with is seeing how to help us because this is a huge unfunded mandate. And I think CML is really the place to go to try to fight this with CDPHE. And I know it's a health
I think for
problem.
the state.
You went through the public policy committee?
Yes. And also, we need somebody on the town council that's willing to serve next time it comes up. Next year, it probably will. Generally, they have a vacancy every year. So that would be a thing that we should kind of push for.
I'm gonna do trash and do next. And then what we'll do for the next one after this is we'll lump in streets and parks and rec into one. Strengths.
How's our trash truck?
Is it in good shape?
It's shaking up.
Uh-huh. And with that,
We're trying to get new touring tires for it this year, which are cheap.
so that could be kind of a weakness. This is very big expense. Piece of equipment. It's very expensive.
But one of the biggest, I guess, weaknesses is it's our only, if it goes down, Roberts can't come bail us out. I don't know if Double J has trucks that'll pick our dumpsters or not, but they do, but are they even gonna be able to do that?
Yeah.
I've got a weakness for this one, guys. So the weakness is a lack of understanding about what we do and do not pick up.
Yeah.
Right?
So you need the customer education.
Customer education, I
Yeah, we
like that.
put public opinion. They're very vocal for trash guys.
Not in a good way.
Some are, some aren't.
And another weakness we have is we don't have a good system for people that have way more trash, like way more cans. And I know we're starting to, but people dump out stuff all the time and we pick it up.
Yeah.
And it's not, I know the guys are doing the best and I really applaud the job they do. I did that at one time. It sucks, especially in the summer.
Yeah.
But, you know, we need to keep real good track of somebody that has 6 cans and They may not do it all the time, but every time they have 6 cans, it needs to be put down. It needs to be a system.
Yeah, well, I'm sure you guys seen the Facebook posts.
Yeah.
You're getting off track, reel it in. Okay, so customer education, tracking garbage and charges, and I'm gonna say another one is employee safety.
Yeah.
Because we have, through this lack of education, our guys are getting stung by wasps.
And the mice that are in the bins that people make instead of having trash.
Yeah, we had one
You
take a pretty good thing
There's
to
many
it
big
here
ones.
this week, just because the overgrowth in the alleys, when they try to squeeze through an area and something
gets
sharp on the trash truck. Dug one.
He got hurt the other day.
Someone hooked him,
Yeah,
went through brush.
yeah.
Oh,
So it was on the
It was on the
trash truck,
truck.
but he was
Yeah.
trying to turn away from the brush to get.
So alleyways with these box elders and holes are growing up, they really become a choke point as well. But I personally watch swarms of wasps coming out of dumpsters back here, attacking our staff. And so I kept asking, why are you buying wasp spray? Was this for the park? And Corey said, no, it's for the trash truck. I said, oh, that's why you coated the trash. So it's an issue, but there's more to it than just that. We need to really work on employee safety and figure out what we can do.
Some of
No, please.
Oh, a threat would be landfill capacity.
Thank you. Yes, yeah.
the exposure of the landfill that's coming.
And with that would be an opportunity for recycling. Or composting. And composting and or.
Hotchkiss has instituted a recycling program. It's in its infancy, but it has just started.
Are they doing it themselves?
I picked up brochures during CML for a grant to help us get into recycling and composting,
I think
to do
that
technical assistance.
would be huge if we could do community composting and people could buy mulch and all of that stuff.
I also think our code rewrite or polishing that up is a huge opportunity or strength. Because so then the guys have something to go by. It's black and white.
Yeah.
They don't have to make in the field decisions. That's
One of the things we did when I worked trash was we had a sheet in a clipboard and it had a sheet with the rules on it. And we would hand it to the person. And this is what we'll pick up, this we won't pick up. And that worked out really well for us.
Yeah, and our code does have some good things in it. We just had some that is like, iffy. This is kind of.
Trustee Stelzer. So we're in 24 now. There's technology that helps with that. So that's I see that as an opportunity. Sorry to call you.
Well, then I don't know if it's a reason, maybe like enforcement of that, because what's in the code, like almost nobody needs.
So
But we need to
we're lacking on
enforce it.
enforcement.
When it's not actually doing, they're like, it's okay, we'll just do it.
So
Or something that's like, nope, we gotta put your foot down.
And the threat.
And well, and it's like my guys get yelled at if they try to enforce something.
Yeah.
I would rather nobody really talk to my guys. Like if you have an issue with something, they did come talk to us, not.
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah, on weaknesses, I heard Corey say lack of redundancy on the trash truck.
What does that mean?
just if it breaks down, we're down. If there's no.
No backup. I like that. So
Can't rent a trash truck?
I wouldn't know where. to rent.
We could lease one for about what we.
I know a guy. Don't worry about it. I know.
I mean, at that point, we would be probably just running around in the town truck.
Yeah, that'd be awful.
So there are companies that have multiple locations where they will lease a trash truck and they can get it to you within 72 hours. So there are things out there. But I think that's a really good point. We have no spare, and the one that's sitting out by the wastewater plant is shot, needs to go on liquidation. So,
Even if we have to sell it for scrap weight, it's.
yeah.
It's not.
I think the biggest ones here, employee safety, and then, and then education that kind of goes hand in hand with our code rewrite. Anything else? that, this is a big scary one. What happens to the landfill list capacity? Are we driving in this
We,
county?
one of our weaknesses is the distance from the landfill.
Distance.
There's a lot of time.
Not
Ooh,
only
hang on, I'm gonna put that in a thread. So, distance.
And then do we put anything, would look at maybe the scheduling of the trash route on here, opportunities or?
So remember, internal,
Okay.
right, because we handle scheduling.
Yeah.
So as a weakness that our schedule's wonky.
I think it could possibly be improved and
For like the overall public works functionality, yes, it's a.
Okay. So, route,
Learning lots, thank you.
Yeah, 3 days a week takes a lot of time. For 3 days. We only got 10.
with one truck,
With one truck,
and
yeah.
now 2 CDL operators.
Yeah.
Yeah,
well, we have
We got 3.
I know. Okay, anything else?
You know, I just thought of something about water. Just, how are we doing on ORC training?
Oh,
Is pushing through?
I'm just about ready to take my one for distribution, which will allow me to be ORC distribution for, but then I still have to work up the next two.
That's a big deal, we hadn't talked about it. And I don't know if it's a strength, but a great opportunity is in-house ORC.
I think that's a good education piece too. If we ever start doing education to the public of what does it take to get there, because it's not as easy as it used to be.
Oh,
10 years
yeah,
ago.
ambition.
They're not the same.
Mhm.
And what does that look like?
How
Right,
long does it take how long will it take once you get this next one to get the remainder of it?
So I would have to look, I'm able to go up to the next level now, but you have to have so many years of experience before you can take the next one. This next one was only like 36 months or something like that, but I'm not sure what the next one is yet.
I think we're doing that.
People get confused because you used to be able to just sit for the tests as fast as.
like to add to the water,
Yeah.
your lack of redundancy in ORC, because what happens if we lose our ORC? They just crash their car and now they're crippled, you know?
He wins the lottery.
It work.
Yeah.
But, yeah, we need more than one.
But we saw that of a strength or a weakness too, like if Jordan leaves. He knows the rules. Yeah.
Wish you don't know the water. And let me just check in, Walter, you doing okay?
Yeah, I'm doing fine. I did have a question about the water treatment, though. In the natural water treatment down from the aeration ponds, is that available? Do we know if we could get that?
I guess, I confused you.
I don't think we've ever reviewed any additional land out by our wastewater plant. If it's available, we've never asked.
It's an open-ended question.
Yes.
Yes, about wastewater.
You hear that, Walter?
Yeah.
Yes, I
Open-ended.
did. It would just be something to have confidence in that if we need it, we might be able to get it.
A potential weakness in our sewer system. Or
It
maybe
can
we
be.
get it.
Yeah, like
I mean, even a mechanical plant, any path that they choose that we need to go, there's gonna be.
We kind of have that.
That's why we kind of put them just as
Not
a
a
potential weakness, because there's whatever they choose we need to do could be
something.
something that we're not.
Capable of having.
I mean, it'd be strange if the NPDS permit came back and said you need to do industrial pretreatment. What industrial waste do we have?
Yeah.
Unless they start classifying breweries as industrial waste. I don't know. Right, I don't know.
Don't fill that out. Yeah.
It's already been out.
Yeah.
Okay, streets and parks and rec, and then we'll get to Matt, who's been very patiently waiting. So we'll just keep along with the theme that we've got good employees.
Town parks, I mean, our town parks are amazing.
They are great.
The land is reserved for this, so many, they're accessible to everybody, so many people use them.
But we had that kind of in a weakness.
Because we don't have,
Like ADA,
Yeah.
like proper things for that kind of thing. Otherwise,
Not for all parks. We
No,
do, we
yeah.
do better in some than others. So ADA accessibility.
one of the big ones that we were talking about is getting a lockdown maintenance schedule, fertilizing, seeding,
Yeah.
mowing, like we haven't done that for a long time. There's a lot of weeds in the parks.
Aerating.
All that kind of stuff,
We
yeah.
need that to exist with the park rental.
Yeah, so we
As
need that.
well, so that
Mhm.
either we're not trying to rent those spaces that we're doing work in while we're doing work on, because that's not fair.
So, so I think this works for both parks, rec, and streets, right? No maintenance schedule based on season.
And then the communication with the public, I don't know where we wanna put it up there, but like how we would kind of, they schedule around our maintenance schedule, like, I don't know how we put this, like we're priority. Rather than, obviously, we're not gonna tear up the park on July 4th, but please don't. I'm sorry if your baby shower was planned on the day that we're aerating, you
Yeah,
have to go to,
like
we
So,
need.
so internal
So-
scheduling amongst everything, right?
right,
Okay,
and
so
that takes priority over public events.
I think that's a weakness.
And they don't have to come in and get an event permit if they're gonna have a baby shower at the picnic shelter, right?
Right, so unpermitted public events, because you have no warning and no way to track
But,
it.
but even if it was like, someone comes in and say, I want this on March 31st, but that is our fertilization
Yeah.
period,
So
we'll
you
be
might
like,
be able to say no.
you won't be able to do it that time, but you can go to Apple Valley, or you can go here. That's what I'm saying, it's like, we're revolving around the public at this point, and it's hard to make a schedule.
Because we don't have to adjust the water schedule.
I want to address that real quick.
Yeah.
What are you working on, Ruben? Not right now, not right now. I mean, in your office, what have you been working on?
The dog tag database.
General, more general. Intranet.
Oh,
He's, so he's been, this is a strength. This has been a quiet project
yeah.
to share information amongst departments. It's an internal intranet. And so the scheduling, we're hoping will become a thing of the past.
Reservation calendar.
Yeah,
And we can add a new calendar for maintenance and parks.
yeah,
And I would suggest that we put that on the town website, that these dates we're gonna have, you know.
Yeah.
That index is part of the reservation calendar that we used the last 3 weeks.
yeah.
Hang on, I gotta, that's a strength, technology innovation.
Thanks, Ruben.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I want to have someone from IT.
Yes, it does.
And we don't.
I didn't know that that was going on, so that's, thank you. Yeah,
And I don't think, we don't have to go in the weeds of this, but I think it's worth mentioning, trees. Wherever it needs to go in there. I don't know if it's strength, I don't know if it's weakness, but
They fit a
policies,
thread.
who
They
talks
fit
about
into
them, who wants to, they fit everywhere.
hang on, let's,
So.
let's do
parks,
this,
trees,
let's, I'm gonna use green.
Strength and a thread, yeah, I don't know, write it in the
And
middle.
opportunity.
We're gonna do
It
this.
needs addressed. In all ways.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And another threat would be skyrocketing cost of materials.
For, now you're the engineer talking,
Uh-huh.
for street improvements, right, so. And we've seen it with our fifth and Grand project, right? Started as a million, 30,000, 30% set of drawings says 2.5, and now we're at 90 and they say 2.9. So we're seeing it.
Let's do the, like, there's so much love for our parks. I think it's probably one of the most loved things, maybe the least controversial, perhaps.
It's also one of the threats, we're beating the parks to death.
Right.
Because they're loved, and we need to be able to take care of them.
But that's also one of our weaknesses, I think, too, is with all the other stuff that we run around and try to deal with. I do think the parks get probably the least amount of our attention because they're not
life safety.
critical space that, you know, it's
Yeah.
not gonna destroy somebody's car. Or, you know, obviously if there's graffiti there, it's kind of priority to remove some of it.
I do think there's opportunity then to utilize like the football field a lot more. More events could be there, that kind of, it doesn't get used often. That could be an outside
It's good.
opportunity.
It's ours, so it's internal to the organization, but it's a weakness, right? Because we're not utilizing our park space to its full
Yeah.
benefit, right, potential.
Underutilization.
You know, we should talk about our relationships. We have Western Slope Conservation Center running the river park. That doesn't take a ton of girls' time, maybe the one thing it does. The Nature Connection, working on, you know, paths, like in Apple Valley. I mean, I think those are opportunities and strengths to just strengthen that. And
I think
there's more room for public-private partnership.
I think that can also go both ways too, because we've had some issues of these grand grants and plans are happening and the town's not even aware of. So that could be, we need some kind of communication. Education, I don't know, throw it out there. Like, we have to know about this.
Planning phases of those.
Yeah.
Been caught more than once.
Collaboration.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Going at the beginning of the grant cycle, not when they want a letter.
On our
Yes.
support, yeah.
So where would we put the flowers that are out on Grand?
Strength,
I really, we need to talk more about those,
you
because,
ready?
yes.
A robust volunteer network.
We talked about that too, like what if those volunteers disappear?
You're not even
And
water
then all of a sudden, my
It
department's bad guys.
I know, right, but that's a discussion that I really think we need to have. You know, maybe the 2x2s.
Yeah. And that's with the
Vehicle.
grants as well, like
Yeah.
we were saying, the skateboard.
Did I miss any public-private partnerships? WSCC, Nature Connection, DCPS? What is Ben Katz in?
Nature Connection.
He is Nature Connection.
This is
But
Ben
Katz he's doing the Jumbo Mountain. But I don't know who he's with.
He's not with anything.
Oh, okay, I did. He was with Pool Park and Rec, that's what it was.
Even the legacy grants too, Stephanie. Those big utilizers of those spaces. And
Is that a good or a bad?
I think it's a good thing. I mean,
An opportunity?
yeah, I always,
Large events.
the legacy events, I don't know what.
Legacy events.
Just park events, I guess, in general. I mean, they got-
Historic.
we even had a-
Legacy events, it's,
Okay, one of the threats we have is trees. Now, on Second Street, we've got power lines going down Second Street. And we have trees that are planted underneath power lines, and now they're getting chopped off at the top. They're being topped. We need to have some sort of regulation on trees. Now, do we want to allow trees on the south side of the street? So now they shade the streets, and now they're solid ice. You know, shade in the wintertime is a big deal. What kind of trees we have? The elm trees are destroying the curb and gutter and sidewalks and streets. You know, we need
And that
to
consumes
give
a
a hand
lot of
up.
time
Yeah,
for us.
okay, we have a really big weakness and it's potholes.
Yeah. Elm Street.
Potholes, stormwater,
Sidewalks.
sidewalks. That's the low hanging fruit. Opportunity. We'll put in grants. CDOT. Federal highway.
Maybe a weakness would be an underutilized tree board. Or we can call them a strength that we have. I think we do need to
I lean
acknowledge
on
that.
them kind of as a strength just because their knowledge is better than mine.
Yeah, totally.
And so anytime we have questions, I always reach out to
Oh,
at
great.
least one of them.
Yeah.
I don't know where to put it, but enforcement of tree board suggestions at this point. It's gonna be put into regulation soon, but we're gonna have to deal with enforcement. Because right now, we don't have any way to stop somebody. They wanna put a pine tree. I know they're not
Actually,
allowed.
you do, it's in code.
It's in code, but who would first?
We do.
You're gonna see an ordinance soon.
But who enforces it? Oh, here we go. Do we have Cops enforce it? Do we have public works enforce it? Somebody has to enforce it. We need code enforcement.
That's it. I think we really missed an opportunity though. But that's okay. It's the county. I think we have an opportunity with the county because they do a pass through for paving.
For what?
Oh, yeah.
Paving? Oh.
That's how we're getting our public parking lot paved this year is through the county. Well, we're doing pretty good for county.
And it's not a bad thing if we have a break before the next part.
Right.
Sure. If you guys want to have a break, that's fine.
Even like 10 minutes.
Before 6:30.
Yeah.
So you can run
Okay.
home.
Please, what about that?
It's organized. You know, you shot down the last.
So for strengths, they're mostly gonna be, strengths are gonna mirror staff, we're fully staffed. That's huge, that works across the board with everything. From officer safety, public safety, community engagement, scheduling, all the way across, fully staffed is huge. Weaknesses. In order to be fully staffed, we've had to tweak the way we hire and some of the restrictions we were putting on people. Requiring them to live in town wasn't working. So we had to kind of expand that a little bit. The weakness now is that we have this reliance on local officers, of which we only have 3. So those 3 officers, it's 2 officers and myself, are on call. They're swapping the on-call time. They're the guys, if we have some emergency, if a regularly scheduled officer needs another car or there's something else going on, that's the guy getting called out because he's closest. It doesn't do us any good to call somebody from Delta Procedure. It's gonna be a while. That's kind of a weakness. Like everything else, funding, right, that's the cost of that. Opportunity, the partnerships we have, and those partnerships are, we have a few that we kind of identified. A big one for us is the school district. We've invested in a school resource officer, getting him in the schools, but not just making sure he's kind of integrated in what they're doing, but also using the school district so that our outreach extends through the summer, it extends beyond school. It extends to our youth athletic programs, it extends to the skate park, it extends to the library reading programs, those things. Those are things we can work with the district on to kind of increase the relationship with the kids that we already are working.
That was an opportunity.
It's an opportunity, yeah, with the
I
district.
didn't see what you wrote. So
ECPS schools.
thank you.
The other one we have is a reserve officer program that will help us possibly with some of these staffing issues, right? And the reason that's external is because in Colorado, if we establish a reserve officer program through our department, they're not paid. What it is we are letting them work for our department so they can accumulate hours and maintain their post-certification. So it's almost like an agreement we have with that officer who's going to be a reserve officer with us. I think that's something we can look at. It would be helpful for us, especially given the number of events we're having. Right? We just had a very large event. If we could bring some other guys on, they accumulate hours. We get extra guys on the street. That would be helpful. Threats. This is somewhat encompassing, but our general isolation. Okay, we're a long ways from most of our municipal hubs. The sheriff's office and the city of Delta PD, those are large departments with officers. The sheriff's department, they're very, very busy. If you look at the board on any given day, they're called to call. So it doesn't always work out that they have somebody available to come up here. a lot of agencies are facing the same issues with staffing, right? So our neighboring agency is working on getting staffed up. In the meantime, they don't always have somebody available to come help us. We don't have everybody in town, so now we have officers who are isolated. It's just part of living there. It's the way it works.
Is there like no chance that Gunnison County?
Gunnison helps out when they can. Yeah,
They only have one officer though, don't they? Or they have.
Gunnison is staffed now with 3 on this side. They have 3 over here.
Lives in town.
Yes.
Yeah.
So,
I've seen that.
you know, we operate with a lot of different dispatches, right? Gunnison, and Dutch County. So if they're scanning, they catch our radio traffic. If they're not, they don't know when we reach out. But Gunnison has been very good about helping us and stepping in. Recruitment and retention kind of fits into this isolation as well. We're recruiting people when we have openings to an area. We're fighting the funding battle, but that isolation brings with it other issues as well. Whether that's spouse employment, daycare, all these things work into first getting somebody here, and then if we do get somebody here, getting them to stay. I think it's of note for the town that, you know, within a 2-minute drive from here, there's 4 officers who work for other agencies. That's a resource that we're trying to take advantage of. It's just, it's not a possibility for us right now. They just work for different agencies, but they do live here. So it's not like we're isolated in the sense that there are no law enforcement officers here. There are. They just don't work for us.
Is that because we're not attractive to what we can't compete with what they're doing?
That's a lot.
Hotchkiss just did gym memberships. So
Where?
they have a gym in Hotchkiss.
They have a gym in Hotchkiss?
24 hours.
Oh, yeah.
And I'll point out that it's like there's 4 individuals and 3 of them work at one agency. All 4 of these individuals work at 3 different agencies, right? So it's not like they're all consolidated into one place. They're just, you know.
Is it something also that if you're an officer that you don't want to live and work, I mean, you're an exception, but live and work in the same community?
Absolutely.
Yeah, so there's also that, but we can't control that.
Absolutely.
We have 3, it's you, Kate, and Pat, right?
It's not the word of the exception either, but given what we're trying to do here, the type of department we're trying to build, we're trying to work on that a little bit in that we are more community oriented as opposed to strictly enforcement oriented, right? If you're strictly enforcement oriented, it can be difficult to live and work in the community where you're just enforcing the law all day long. Whereas here, you know, we've tried to improve that on the street, the walkthroughs and the festivals, getting into schools, being involved with other things, so that you do feel like you're a part of the community. We obviously have those chances and those opportunities when we are enforcing the law. We see those people daily, but it's not strictly enforcement all the time. I think that helps us tend to alleviate a little bit of that living where you work. But yeah, absolutely, that's depending on where you're working, that could be a problem.
I think that could be part of your strength, is that we've now humanized a police officer instead of just, he's not a badge. But your social media,
Yes.
this is good. That's actually really good that you guys have.
I really like seeing that we may have bike officers.
Mhm.
Because that face-to-face contact with people.
Recent development.
Yeah. A free bite.
I told them we would give them a tax receipt too.
Social media on strength.
Yes.
social media.
They do so well.
I really like the social media posts.
Everybody else.
We're still hesitant to build one for Public Works.
Who's the town? Who's the town?
I just think, we'll just have to take off, like, messaging.
So yeah, the isolationism, that's, you know, that's kind of weakness for us. And again, the other threat is mandates. They're expensive.
State unfunded.
Yeah, it's challenging. An example that we've solved this problem, but you know, something like this would be a problem for us. All officers have to wear body-worn camera. That's a very expensive program to buy the cameras, to pay for the storage. Everything they do is now recorded. Whether we use it in a case or not, they take their cameras off, they put it in the dock, it gets downloaded. Hours and hours and hours of footage a day is downloaded that we may never use, but it has to be saved and stored.
Forever?
For as long as we have cloud storage with the company that we're using for our cameras. So these mandates make it difficult. Now, to be fair to the state, they normally give you a window of time, right? This is what's gonna happen. From what I've seen, that window is helpful for planning. But the day that it gets passed and from the day that it gets passed, you look at the cost on something to the day when it gets instituted, you might as well start the day it gets passed, because it's not gonna get any cheaper. Now you're required to have something, it's only gonna go up in price.
Wow.
But that's a threat to department owners.
So I've gleaned from this, right? Strengths, fully staffed, community policing, social media presence, weakness, reliance on local officers, funding, keeping officers or retention due to location, opportunities, good partnership with DCPS, and reserve officers, which helps maintain their post certification. Threats, it's our location distance from other LEOs and LEAs, and then state of mind mandates. I get it?
Can you help with staff on there too?
Which one?
They even help our department a lot, so.
I was gonna mention that so kind of
Yeah.
so kind of an overarching theme between all these departments. I think this is something, it works both ways, but it's certainly something that can definitely be a strength is sort of that cross training, but if we have water breaks at night and we're calling guys out, well, the police department, we already have guys on. So they can gladly come over and pull lights or help, hand equipment or do what they need to do. They may not be down the pole, but
Just turn your lights on.
right, they're available.
Yeah.
So we have these resources available. It's just a matter of, we worked on this, sharing these resources, and it's working. So that's all.
One of the things that I've seen is the interagency cooperation. The cops come help us lots of times after this. So when they're available, they're there, and I really appreciate that they can help get somebody out of their house, because some of these houses are awful to get in. And the best part is when the cop is already there in front of the house, because on some of these streets, we cannot read the street numbers. And that's something we need to address again, because you can't see the addresses. And I've lived here for 35 years and I still don't know where every address is, and it's hard to do.
So I think that's good. Strength and an opportunity, interagency cooperation. That's it. So the only thing that we didn't do is finance and admin. What I'd like you to do is think about that as homework and then give me some strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, threats. I don't want to have to do my own. I think I'll put that back on. But that gives you time for use the restroom, take a break before our next meeting with 19 agenda.
This was really helpful, thanks.
Yeah, they work against us with objectives and goals and.
All right.